You know, since I've been alive, some 63 years, science has been asking the question, what causes cancer? I think fungus causes cancer, and I'll present a little slide presentation for you here today. But here's the problem. Scientists then want an antifungal to kill the tumor, kill the cancer, and it doesn't work that way. Once rust starts inside your body, or mold, mildew, fungus starts inside your body, it will do what it does to a piece of fruit, right? Here are two mangoes. The one on the right is the one that I want you to concentrate on. That's a good mango. The one on the left is one that has fungus disseminating through it right now. How is that different, really, from cancer? You see, I can't put an antifungal agent like boric acid on that mango and have it clear up. It's dying. It's dying a slow death. I wish we could take every patient with cancer and give them antifungals and have them healed. Once this starts, folks, it presses on the nerves and that hurts. It occludes the blood flow through the system, and all of a sudden you lose limbs and so forth. This is a bad disease. Fungus inside your body is a very bad disease. I want to show you a couple of slides now that'll help present this better to you. One of our employees, a great IT guy I work with, his wife went out to the store and bought a beautiful tomato. And look at what happened. They sliced it in half. Here's something called a black hairy mold. It was hairy and feathery inside this good-looking tomato. Now, the only time I have seen black hairy is something in a dermatology practice I worked in a couple of decades ago. It was called black hairy tongue. And literally, when these people held their tongue out, that looked like hair-like projections all over their tongue. Both times antibiotics failed the patient. So I asked the doctor if we could use something called Miselex troches. And you know, those are like nystatin. They kill fungus. They dissolve them in their mouth a few times a day, and after about 40 or 50 of these troches that they just suck on, this black hairy tongue cleared up. So the root cause of black hairy tongue was probably fungus if antifungals killed them. However, if you put an antifungal on this black hairy projection in this tomato, it's not going to kill it. You can't eat this tomato. It's gone. And I suspect that genetically modified seeds is what's causing a lot of this. The fruit might look great on the outside, but once you get on the inside where they've implanted DNA from another seed, all the rules change. Okay, so be careful. If this tomato would have been thrown in a blender, they'd have never known, but they'd have gotten enough of this fungus in their body, and if it was a pathogenic fungus, there's about 400 of those that science knows of. If it was pathogenic, therefore disease-causing, that could have really hurt them. Okay, the next slide is the mango, and I want you to look. This was taken 3 or 4 days ago. Now the mango looks like this. Right? Now the mango is really disseminating. And folks, it's all semantics once you get to cancer. It disseminates. This fungus does what we call dissemination. It just moves through the mango, ruining it. Cancer, however, metastasizes, yet they're the same thing. Dissemination of a tumor here through your body is metastasis. And that's what's going on in that mango. Next slide. This is breast cancer. This is a male with breast cancer. Now I want to go back. Keep your eyes on that slide. Now watch. Okay? See how those two really kind of look alike? And do you see how a few days later this is now metastasized throughout this? Okay, so then let's start studying the similarities between fungus and cancer. These are all taken out of the scientific literature. What I'd love is for you to tell your doctor friends, oncology friends, brilliant scientists, twice my IQ, that this is wrong. I'd really like someone to email me and teach me, show me that this fungus and cancer have nothing to do with each other. Both can metabolize nutrients in the absence of oxygen. Okay, this has been well documented since Otto Warburg in the 1930s. Let me explain that to you. You take a shower in the morning, you're washing under your arm, and you say, darn, what's that lump? I'm not going to do anything about it. You're a guy, right? Guys don't do anything with a lump in their body. I'm not going to do anything about it. 2 months later, you're in the shower and you go, oh my gosh, it's bigger. It's growing without oxygen. It's in a sac. Fungus grows in a sac-like projection called an ascomycete, little green spores that are asexually reproducing inside that ascomycete. It forms a lump in the breast, in the prostate, in the heart, etc., anywhere in your body. So understand that this might be an ascomycete that's growing and growing. God forbid, folks, if we put a needle in that lump and we relieve or we liberate all these ascospores. They're all over your body now. So we have to be careful of biopsies. I've always wondered why a doctor didn't just make a little half-inch incision, pull the lump out of the breast and throw it away. Why do we have to poke a hole in it so they know what it is? I don't want to know what it is. I got a lump in my breast, I want it out, just take it out. Can't do that in America. First, what they have to do is a biopsy to confirm or deny that it's cancer in the first place. So both can grow without oxygen, this ascomycete, this fungus, and a tumor, a cancer tumor. Both must have sugar in order to thrive. Again, more Landacker and Warburg in the 1930s, 31. And I think this is significant because of the next slide. Both must be fed sugar. If you give fungus sugar, boom. That's why so many of us who have a fungal condition like cancer crave sugar. What if cancer and fungus are one and the same, right? That's the position I'm trying to take here, only I'm trying to do it scientifically. There's no money in this for me to stand here and teach you this. It's important that you share this information with your healthcare provider. Both must have sugar in order to thrive. That little fungus needs sugar and the tumor needs sugar. Just wondering here, could they be one and the same? Look at this one. Both die in the absence of sugar. So many references to this, and I could find 20, 30 references to each of these. Both die in the absence of sugar. You don't give fungus sugar, it's gone. You don't give cancer sugar, it's gone. But you have to consider our sugar in the American diet comes from carbohydrates, right? Fruits, vegetables, etc. Foods have carbohydrate, grains, etc. So slowly we tend to feed these fungi. It's kind of interesting, cancer patients tend to crave sugar. Fungus craves sugar. And in a human fungal cell relationship, this has been documented scientifically, fungus is always the dominant partner. Fungus begins dictating to you what you're going to eat. Hey, I'm going to have cookies, I'm going to have snacks, I'm going to drink soda, because the fungus needs it in order to thrive. Both produce a poison, a corrosive acid called lactic acid. Isn't that interesting? So fungus makes that, as says the Journal of Immunology, June 1st, 2008. And says Dr. White, Milton White was an awesome man. I met him at the hospital before he died. His wife died of breast cancer, and he made his life go in the direction of studying fungus and cancer, and he was convinced they were one and the same. Both produce corrosive lactic acid. Both respond to antifungal medicines, and this is amazing. Sometimes in early stages, you can give people with small tumor growth antifungals, and there are very, very many benefits. One of them is right here. Antifungal agent lowers PSA levels, a study finds 15 years ago in the Medical Tribune. This is important. They gave men with prostate disease an antifungal called Nizoral, and it helped take care of it. Okay, so was it fungus or is it cancer? Next slide. Are we calling it cancer when in fact it's fungus? Consider the following documentation. I pulled this book out circa 1957, Johns Hopkins University, Clinical and Immunologic Aspects of Fungal Diseases. I worked with a doctor named Dr. David Weekly. He brought me here from California. Here is Texas. And Dr. Weekly, when he passed, his wife gave me this book because you see, I was always going through it. The references in this are amazing. Now go with me, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, 1957. What were you doing in 1957? I was 8 years old. But let me tell you what this book says in many different places. Page 11, pulmonary coccidioidomycosis, suggestive of metastatic malignancy. Well, wait a minute, isn't this suggestive of metastatic malignancy? And yet this is a fungus. They were asking the same question in 1957. Isn't that interesting? They inhaled this coccidioimitous fungus and presented with a disease called pulmonary coccidioidomycosis. Okay? And the doctors said, well, this is weird, and we scraped the lungs. It's not cancer at all, it's fungus. Next one, page 115. Localized cutaneous blastomycosis is frequently mistaken for squamous cell carcinoma. Any of you ever have those things cut off your ear or your nose or your face, and they're saying, well, it's precancerous, it's squamous cell carcinoma. This book said, no, it wasn't. It was a fungus. It was blastomycosis. And again, they inhaled it after holding it in your body for a period of time. This poison that fungus makes, called a mycotoxin, leaches out through your nose, your ears, your skin, etc. And we're saying it's precancerous? This book, 55 years ago, said it was fungus. Let's go to the next slide. On page 153, disseminated histoplasmosis is, and I love this, go with me here, is found to coexist with leukemia, lymphosarcoma, sarcoidosis, and Hodgkin's disease much more frequently than is statistically justifiable based on coincidence. Do you know what they're saying? Leukemic patients might have histoplasmosis, bird droppings. I mean, it's interesting where you get this. Once again, we inhale it. Do you have a parakeet at home and now you've been diagnosed with lung cancer? Did you raise homing pigeons when you were younger and now you have skin or colorectal cancer? This stuff, once it gets in your body, and this is all by inhalation. This book just talks about inhaling it, inhaling a fungus, and it does what? It looks like leukemia and lymphosarcoma and sarcoidosis. And finally, on page 175, disseminated cryptococcus closely simulates neoplasm. All from this book, Clinical and Immunologic Aspects of Fungal Diseases, circa 1957. I'm not going to stop here. Those who have seen me and some of the seminars that I give know that I believe breast cancer. I think there's enough documentation today to prove that breast cancer and prostate cancer and many other cancers are intimately linked with the mycoses. How do you get this fungus inside your body? I'll expound on that on my TV show, Know the Cause, every day. But let me tell you, antibiotics are mycotoxins, are fungal metabolites, fungal poisons. Alcohol is brewer's yeast, fermented. It is a fungal metabolite. Grain, our grain supply in America is commonly contaminated with this fungus, and our corn supply is always contaminated, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association. So, is it cancer or is it fungus? One more question before I leave you today. If I was board certified in oncology, came home from my vacation, and pulled this mango out, I would have just thrown it away. I probably wouldn't have said, that looks exactly like cancer. This is going to spread through this whole thing and eventually kill it. I wouldn't have made that connection because you see, this is fruit, not a mammal, much different. But because I'm who I am, I'm a guy who believes everything almost is fungus. I saw that differently. Do you see it differently also? Let us know, and thanks for joining us today.